Hello, my name is Gleb and I'm Animator. For past year or so I am using Linux to do all my work and all my animations done on Linux now. I'm quite open about it and actually proud about it. I tell everyone around that I'm using Linux now, and quite often my friends and colleagues are asking, "Hey, Gleb, so you are using Linux, you say, and how exactly does it work? Because we heard there are no programs there and everything." So I thought of making this video as kind of an answer and a thing to refer to. And I will share my journey here. We'll try to do it very shortly, and we'll explain which programs I use, how do I use it, and how I made it work, and how we can finally, as animators, ditch Windows. How does it work now? Surprisingly well. Short answer for the question of the whole video is like, can animator use Linux in 2025? Answer is yes. How? First, I made few points here to go one by one, like, to cover most basic programs that I'm using and how it works actually. So first of all, of course, point number one, Blender. Blender became good. It became very, very good. It became mainstream. Now everybody uses Blender. At least in country where I do animation, it's now absolutely acceptable. In most of studios with whom I worked, they say, yeah, we need product, we don't need source files from you, so work in whatever program you want. I want Blender. Blender is wonderful, works perfectly on Linux. Of course, 3D animation in Blender I do sometimes 2D animation. Grease pencil nowadays is like wonderful. And video editing, if I need to quickly edit, glue some clips together, add some titles, maybe some like quick effects and everything, it's absolutely wonderful. In this 4.4 version right now I have installed, it works flawlessly, no complaints. And yeah, in fact, maybe one day I will make a separate video of how we use Blender in my practice, because I think, yeah, component is covered very exhaustively in internet, online and everything. But I think what people do not talk about is how wonderful it is actually in video editing, and how you can, as 2D animator or maybe animation director, to make animatics in it, how you can combine grease pencil drawing with video editor, this non-linear editor, and everything works very well. Point number two, video editing. A lot of people use a lot of different proprietary software for video editing, and as I said, I use mostly Blender for video editing. I know that there is Kdenlive available. I didn't necessarily like to use it. It seems to have quite a learning curve, while Blender covers most of my needs, and also it was very slow in one of my use cases that I will describe now. And yeah, Adobe Premiere, of course, everybody is using it. Not available on Linux, but it is awful program. No one should use it. Let's find alternatives. And there is alternative. It's not open source, it's proprietary, but it's a very good program. DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci works very well on Linux. My distribution that I'm using is Ubuntu. It works very well on Ubuntu. There is a tool online available that makes this DaVinci install file that you download from official DaVinci website, makes it into deb file that installs like flawlessly, has no issues, very easy to install, surprisingly, because some people, I think on other distributions that are not Debian based, have some issues. Yeah, works very nice. Have zero complaints, other than I should note, and some people have problems with it, that free version of DaVinci has these limits that it doesn't support H.264 or HEVC formats, as well as AAC audio, which is a problem for many people, because most of video files, for obvious reasons, are people use these codecs. For example, camera that I'm recording right now on this have Sony camera. It records on, I think, also H.264. So I will have to convert this footage if I will be editing. I think I will be editing this video in DaVinci. There is codec. You can use AV1 codec with Opus sound. It is very good. If your computer was made that you're using right now, like in the past 5-6 years, I think it will support it. It's a newer codec, so not all graphic cards support. It's like encoding and everything. But yeah, open standard, better quality, less file size. Just use it, even if you are not using Linux, just use it, it's better format. And Oppo Sound, I know nothing about sound, but sounds well for me, and I read also online that it seemed to be also quite comparable and have a good quality with AAC sound. So yeah, feel free to use it. And yeah, Blender does export with this codecs, so everything I export from Blender now has this codec. If for some reason I have some footage that I received from someone, or if I edit from my camera, I use Handbrake to convert it very quickly. So yeah, and doesn't take much space. So DaVinci with AV1 and opposite. But why am I even using DaVinci? Because for most stuff that I need, actually Blender video editor is absolutely fine. Because, well, right now I am editing and slowly animating and / editing at the same time my own film, which I'm also making in 3D, in Blender, and I export everything, like I render everything in open EXR format, so all pictures are EXRs. And when you import EXRs, at least for now, in Blender Video Editor, it works very slowly. You have to use proxies, and then when you use proxies, these proxies kind of do not really respect color settings of original EXRs, and still it works very slow. But DaVinci, if you import EXRs sequences in DaVinci in timeline, works real time without any proxies, full resolution, even with some easy color grading and some effects, just works flawlessly. It's so good. I love it. So yeah, it's proprietary software, but it works so well, and it works on Linux, so big respect to developers. Thank you for porting it to Linux. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. Number 3. One of studios I work with, they actually making online games, and we have to use a piece of software that is called Spine. And when I was kind of applying for this job there, I was a bit worried because I already switched to Linux, and I thought like, okay, they will make me use some proprietary software that will make me use Windows or something. Turned out that Spine works on Linux very well. It is very well supported. Everything works fine. Yeah, nothing to add here. The only problem with Spine on Linux, and I think many people complain on their forums and everything, that file explorer that they use when you export file and look for where to save it, or when you just like, yeah, do anything with files. I don't know what file explorers I use. It looks like something from 90s. I don't know. It works awful. You cannot, for example, copy and paste kind of location from address bar or like location stuff into it. You cannot navigate easily. You have to use this UI that reminds me of Windows 95 or something. And most annoyingly, if you, for example, open this dialog to save file or export file and open this window that is always too small, so you have to drag it and expand it, make it bigger. And then, for example, you want to switch back to Spine window to see if you, for example, make some changes or something, and then switch back to this window of File Explorer, it is gone. It disappears, it goes somewhere, and in fact it goes behind all Windowses of all other programs that were open. So you have to go and minimize all Windowses or hide them somewhere, and then maybe you will be lucky to find back, or otherwise the whole like Spine is like waiting for you to confirm that you are saving file there. If not, then I don't know, shut down the whole Spine and open it again. Yeah, I hope they will one day fix it. Point number... I forgot the number of points. Next point. Photoshop. Obviously, no Photoshop on Linux. It was a problem for me when I tried to do it back in the days, back in my student years. We use everything in Photoshop. We receive all files in PSDs and everything. Professionally as well, when you work with other people in your studio somewhere, you receive PSD files. It's now industry standard, and other programs can open PSDs, and I used to open them in Krita and everything, but it opens it incorrectly sometimes. Some effects do not open correctly, colors might be not open. it is not a problem anymore. And it turned out it is not a problem for quite many years. It just surprisingly not many people also online talk about it. Photopea. Photopea works very well. It's also not open source. At least if I understood correctly, it's like partially it uses some open source kind of components, but it's not open source. It's online web-based photo editor. It is a bootleg Photoshop. It has interface of Photoshop, it has functions of Photoshop, it has everything. If you ever used Photoshop, it is the same. And it opens PSD files absolutely flawlessly. PSD and PSBs as well, at least if they are not too heavy. 99% of files that I received from my colleagues, from our artists or something, they all opened fine in Photopea. I could edit effects, I could edit layer styles, it works wonderful. And the fact that I didn't need to relearn keyboard shortcuts and my muscle memory didn't have to like learn new stuff too much. It has a little bit of differences, but not many. Use Photopea, it's really good. Yeah, you need kind of online connection and browser. Other than this, it works very well. Only problem is that, yeah, it might be a bit too slow if you work with high resolution files. It can get slow. I noticed that it seems to use only one core of processor. Maybe this is the reason why it is so slow. So everything that is bigger than kind of like 4K image gets very slow, especially if you work with effects. But again, I think it's tolerable. It's tolerable. Actually, surprisingly good. I really like it. It has this like advertisement on the side, so it is actually free in comparison to Photoshop. You can pay how many, like $5 per month to remove it, and I recently had it I had subscription for 3 months. It just recently expired. I think I will resubscribe soon again when I will need to use it more. But if not, yeah, it's absolutely fine, workable. Advertisement is not that annoying. Plus all these features like, yeah, smart select and some generative fill that is in Photoshop. It also available here. It works fine. Also, it will show you, again, in a free version, it will show you advertisement clip, like 5-15 seconds to watch, and then it will show. Or if you buy subscription, it will ask you nothing, you paid for it, much cheaper than Photoshop, works almost as good as Photoshop, and works on Linux, because it is web-based. Next point, the biggest so far flaw of this workflow is that I need, as an animator, as a kind of person who works with video, with other people who work with video and animation, we need After Effects, and there is no alternative to After Effects. Not only on Linux, there is just no alternative to After Effects, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. On one hand, there are so many alternatives on After Effects, because you can find a lot of this functionality in other programs, like in Blender, if you need some like 2D graphics, some light video editing, some effects. Blender, if you need some other effects that are not available in Blender, you can find them in DaVinci and everything. But After Effects has its own niche, which is, yeah, it's just like an After Effects niche. It's like, again, this universal Swiss Army knife tool that allows you to edit effects and do animation and everything in one place. And so many people rely on it, and I didn't see any alternatives to it. I saw some alternatives to it. There are some attempts to make, I don't remember the name of another thing that looks very similar to After Effects, works apparently on Linux natively and everything, but costs even more than After Effects, despite not being part of Adobe's suite. But yeah, so what do I do? And yeah, I have to use After Effects at work, so it's mandatory. Virtual machines. Virtual machine works fine. I set up virtual machine on QEMU system through Virtual Machine Manager. It works fine. It works actually quite well. Like CPU performance is almost native. Also, I recently made a new desktop PC for myself, so I installed like a lot of RAM there. So half of RAM I just dedicate to a virtual machine, and it runs After Effects quite well. I still didn't figure out how to make it access my GPU. It's tricky. And I should have told it in the very beginning of this video. I'm noob. I am very bad at Linux actually and everything. And this pass-through of GPU. I have only one GPU. I have this very small mini ITX PC, so it has only one PCI Express slot, and I'm trying to pass through my integrated Intel card, and if someone knows how to do it properly, maybe you can advise me if you are watching this video and you know how to. I already kind of unplugged it, and I disconnected it from the system, my iGPU, so the rest of the system doesn't work in these groups of devices. And I even managed to connect it, I think, to my virtual machine, but it doesn't recognize it yet inside, and installing Intel drivers doesn't help anything, so I keep researching. Maybe one day we'll make it work. But the thing is, After Effects renders everything, almost everything, on processor. Still, till this day. It's a very old program and very slow, and even the most recent version of After Effects still renders most of stuff on a processor. So just give virtual machine just few cores of your CPU, it will be enough for After Effects. Even plugins, for example, we use Trapcode Particular, it's fine. Just few effects need GPU, but yeah, most stuff works still on CPU. Absolutely fine. What else we have? We use Saber, also works on CPU. Yeah, everything works on CPU, at least most of stuff that I need. So yeah, virtual machine. For now, use virtual machine, but surprisingly I use virtual machine pretty much only to use After Effects. The rest of programs I managed to install or find alternatives on Linux. Next point, other graphic programs, it is said here. So yeah, already not in animation domain, but still here, because if you work with animation, you probably still need to work with graphics. So Krita works very well. Use Krita. If I need to draw anything, I use Krita. I know many people use actually Krita for making 2D animation. I don't make this much 2D animation, and if I do it in Blender with Green Speckle. I'm so happy with Green Speckle, but Krita apparently also absolutely fine. I saw people doing films in it, complete films. Inkscape, very good, like surprisingly good. I am very bitter at my teachers in university that they didn't teach us Inkscape when I studied it, and they taught us Illustrator. Maybe 10 years ago when I studied it was not as good alternative. Maybe it was not working that well, and right now it works very good. I'm not working that much with vector graphics anymore. Sometimes I need to edit some like shapes and everything, and well, editing and changing shapes in Inkscape and working with Bezier curves and everything is like next level after Illustrator. It's so much better than Illustrator. It's surprisingly, these controllers, Bezier curves, these handles, they are so much bigger, they are easy to grab. There are so many cool controls when you can like scroll with this mouse wheel, and it will expand this selection of vectors and everything. So good, surprisingly good. Apparently it can start to lag if you have a lot of vector objects, and I read people complain that yeah, particularly heavy illustrations are getting laggy in Inkscape, but I didn't have this problem. I don't work with such heavy vector projects. So yeah, Inkscape. Yeah, obviously for people who use Inkscape or looking at Inkscape, CMYK color is not yet available. They promise, they work on it. Once it is there, it's just flawless. Absolutely side thing. Next point is about photos and videos, how to do it on Linux. As I mentioned, I record it on Sony camera. I have Sony ZV-E10, and I like to make photos. I stopped making photos almost entirely on my smartphone. I like a lot the fact that I can kind of has dedicated device and quality is very good. There is no Lightroom clearly. On Linux. There is Darktable. Darktable is cool. It's so good. I'm even afraid of it a little bit. I'm learning it right now. There are so many things that I would say they give, it looks like they give more even stuff than Lightroom, and I like to discover it. Still, the results that I'm getting, they could be better. I'm learning it. One day I will master the Darktable. It's very good. Another thing is, yeah, I sometimes from time to time record videos on this camera. And the problem with this camera, despite it being advertised as video blogger's camera, and I don't use it for video blogging clearly, it just I like that it is very small. But the point is, it doesn't have for some reason video stabilizer, so or image stabilizer, so videos get very shaky. So you can stabilize it with this Sony Catalyst thing, and the problem is there is no Catalyst on Linux, but there is Gyroflow. Gyroflow is apparently, yeah, this multi-platform alternative. I don't know, is it open source actually? I wonder if it is open source. I should check. But it is working flawlessly, absolutely beautifully on Linux. It supports GPU acceleration and everything, and yeah, it works well. It recognizes all my camera profiles. It recognizes, yeah, it has this Sony ZV-E10 profiles with everything, and even for my lens, I have Sigma zoom lens. There is even profile available there. And the last point, the rest of programs. Everything surprisingly works. I don't know, Telegram client works here. Discord client, no problem. Spotify, everything, like native apps. If there is no native apps for something, then there is an Electron app. Someone wrote it, for example. Annoyingly, unfortunately, I need to use Facebook Messenger because I live in Estonia, and this country at some point decided that yes, we need to keep all our conversations, including work conversations, friend group chats and everything, in Facebook. I don't know why I need it. So there is Caprin. Caprin works fine. Sometimes when Caprin doesn't work, I launch this web app through Chrome with Messenger. Yeah, but the rest of programs work surprisingly well. I didn't expect when I switched a year ago to Linux that it will work this well. So yes, everything works. Please switch to Linux. We need more people, we need more animators to make it work even better. We need people who will donate more money to developers, and we need more people to convince developers to keep supporting, keep maintaining their programs here. It's very good. And yeah, as I said, I was using it for like past year. I wanted to make this video after like 1 month on Linux, and I didn't have time. Just didn't have time to make a video. But yes, it was the plan was, yeah, here is my journey, 1 month on Linux. Then I didn't have time. Then I thought like, okay, half a year on Linux. Also didn't have time. Now 1 year later, it's very different video from what I would do after 1 month and even half a year. Because if I would do it like earlier, it would be, hey, look what I'm discovering and what I'm looking for, and this is what I figured out and everything. But still some issues and everything. 1 year later, I don't even remember using Windows anymore. Even the whole idea of booting into Windows seems weird, and if I have to do it, I don't feel comfortable. My whole workflow is already tuned to Linux. It works very well. So yeah, I think that's it. I will try to edit it in a very short manner, and hope it will not be boring and will be informative for some of you. And also, if you stumble upon this video and you recognize that I'm talking bullshit about some points or just don't know correct answer, feel free to correct me. I'm noob, I don't know much about it. I'm just an animator who needs to do animation, and I don't have kind of brain capacity and maybe even this kind of thinking ability to go too deep into this Linux stuff. Yes, feel free to add and correct me and maybe advise me something. Yes, thank you, bye.